homies and my sexuals, we made it. We got through it today. You really gotta, accept and appreciate those sessions where it is just nonstop getting beat up and coming back at 100% every single rep, trying your absolute hardest. Because, oh man, there was just absolutely no breaks today. It was just all gas. Oh man, it is really difficult to especially come back from a really upsetting rep, to say the least, and give it your all when you feel like you might have just used everything, especially on your first set. Getting onto snatches, I'm definitely physically peaked still. I'm doing great, and everything was moving the way I wanted it to, but the moment I put 245 in the bar, I've only ever done that for a double, for like a PR double in the past. That's the heaviest I've ever gone for that kind of reps. And I was going to go for 3 sets of 2 today, which, high hopes, but definitely doable for sure. There's always so many limiting factors that you kind of just have to shove in the back of your brain and be like, you know what, fuck that shit. We're just going to do our best and move on from that, no matter what. And let me just explain how it went today. So I got up to 245, and in order, oh man, we got to, what was it? First set, made 1, missed 2. Second set, made 2. That's 1 good set. Third set, missed 2. And, the amount of misses that I had behind my head, or I caught it and then just let it go right forward without even attempting to lock out. It was just, oh man, I was beating myself up just because I just could not lock my elbows out, man. I was so honed in on the whippage and getting underneath it that just every time I either whipped too hard or I didn't push my elbows all the way through. And it's detrimental. A millisecond late is going to make your lift fail every time. But we brought it back. I told you guys the goal is 3 sets to add maximum amount of weight. If we only hit 2, that's fine. So next week, instead of adding 20 pounds going into the singles week, we'll just add 10 so that I don't overdo it and I can properly grow my muscles at the rate that they are allowing me to do so. My body does not work with me. I work with my body. So I got to really make sure I keep the ego in check and just do as much as I feel the fatigue won't mess me up in the long run. On my last one, we brought it back, made 1, missed 2, threw it behind my head, and then caught it right where I needed to and didn't lock out. And I just sat there and I was like, no, absolutely not. Sometimes you really just got to sit there and be like, I do not care if that was the make or break rep. I know I have it. When you know, I promise you that. If you're sitting there doubting yourself and you didn't even think that there's an attempt, but you're just doing it just to fuck around or whatever, with no purpose behind that lift, you might as well not attempt it. But I knew right then and there, I was like, I feel good, I'm catching it, I have it, I just don't want it enough. That was it. I just didn't want it in that moment. So I took a second, I said, let me catch my breath for 2 breaths. I said, and I locked that shit in, and it was beautiful. Very happy with that last set. It is always such a good feeling, regardless of all the misses, regardless of how much effort I had to put in to get near my goal. Not even hitting my goal, but getting near it. Last set was still the best set. Even if it looked ugly to you, or if you don't think it counts because of all the misses, or whatever, I don't care. That was my 100%. That was what I had today, and I made do at the absolute maximum of what I was capable of. That's what matters. And again, just continuing the absolute stress of today's workout. Going to overhead squat, I already knew. Getting into it. My elbows especially, my elbows and my shoulders were burnt out from those snatches. I did way more attempts. Not too many. I don't regret what I did. I am very happy with the effort, but it was more than my body is used to, and it's more than my fatigue is used to, especially. So now mentally, I've put in 100% into this weight, and I've gone on to my overhead squats with a lot less, motivation and some burnt out joints and shoulders. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I gotta really pick it up, get that energy moving, because it feels pretty abysmal to try to force yourself under a barbell that your body just does not want to get under. The snatches felt great. I was happy to do it. My body was like, all right, great, let's stop there. And I was like, nope, we are not done until the program says we are. Every time. Got it to 275. Last time I hit this session, I did 265 for 3x4 with ease, with maximum confidence. But you have to remember, I was doing 235 for 3 doubles on snatches, and I hit them all almost in a row. I had a few misses, but that was it. And I got to just do each set one after the other without any failed sets. Oh, man. Ooh. That first set, I was like, shit, I got to pick it up. Because that first set was zero energy. I was just like, please, 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 begging my body instead of making my body do it, you know? Because even if your body can't, in that moment, you can't just accept that failure, you know? You have to at least commit until your body truly reaches its breaking point, you know? You have to cut it off. You have to know exactly how much energy you can put in and exactly where you need to cut it off before you are at risk for injury, you know? And that first set, I was wobbly as hell. I didn't even brace my core on one of the reps. I walked forward a step, and I was like, Jesus, man, jeez. Get it together, you know, that kind of, and I was just like, all right, whatever, second set. And I did what I have not done in so long. I cannot remember the last time I did something this, you know, I'm not going to belittle myself, but for for the amount of energy and experience and knowledge I've accumulated, it was just something I didn't really expect to run into. And it's always so humbling, and I'm very appreciative at the minimum of being able to fail in a way that I haven't experienced in a long time, that I thought that I was grown past, because that just means I have more room to grow. But that I did the push jerk, set up, and my elbows almost broke backwards, man. I could not believe I let the weight go behind. Like on an overhead squat, I can understand it if I'm leaning forward, taking a step forward maybe. Even at the most, my joints are just so burnt out that I gotta just let it drop behind mid-rep. But on the jerk, on just the setup alone, my body gave up. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. For the 2 time, absolutely not. For the second time in the session, refuse to accept that kind of level of effort. Because it wasn't there. That wasn't me. You know, that's not the potential I'm trying to reach. You know, I have so much more in me. And when you're sitting there belittling yourself or telling yourself that you have less than you really do have in that moment, that's where you're going to have the least amount of growth. You know, it's what merits that last attempt, especially on the snatches. I was sitting there like beating myself up. I was like, man, it might be over. I might just got to keep it at one set and then do 245 for my singles the next week and underplay it. But no, man, I know what I'm capable of. I've been doing this long enough, and I have so much confidence and pride and passion in what I do to where I know when I've reached my limit. And I wasn't even grunting yet. Not in an ego way, but I'm having fun. I'm doing my absolute most. I'm turning all the emotions off and just letting instinct take over, you know? All the irrational can go out the window. It's just whatever I've got right then and there and committing to it. And I hit those second and third sets with passion, man. Ooh. I was very happy with that. That last rep for sure, you'll see it. I slowed down a lot. I was personally scared for a second. It's been a while since I've had to push that hard, you know, really keep my mental intact with my physical, because it's a bad mental will destroy your potential every time. You have to, at the minimum, be happy to be there, be ready to enjoy yourself and appreciate any effort your body's willing to put forward for yourself. You know, you've got to thank your body. You got to cherish that shit, because your body's a miracle physically, man. I'm so grateful I'm able to have the mobility and the strength that I have for as fragile as a species we actually are. You know, we are so weak, and we're never actually strong. We're just less weak than we started. But when we got onto that kind of passion, you know, we're just constantly becoming less and less weak. But it's that feeling, it's the mentality behind what you do that get you to that point of utmost appreciation and enjoyment for your life in general. You know, I always talk about the lifts, but this is not just a gym thing. This is an everyday, anything you do kind of thing. Man, shit, I'm emotional. Oh man, just last thing with the lifts, snatch pull, definitely was burnt out. That's one that I got to be very careful with. This is why I don't deadlift, guys. Because sure, I could snatch deadlift or just do clean deadlifts instead of pulls. The reason I do the high pulls, or as high a pull as I can do, is because any more weight or stagnant pressure on my low back, I would explode. Like literally, it's too much pressure in one workout and too much pressure every single week to be attempting that kind of stuff while I'm already trying to be fully mobile and confident and not fatigued every single lift. You know, I can turn what was originally a power lift into an Olympic, more technique-based lift that still works my body just as hard. But at the same time, when I'm so tired and I've gone through these two lifts that are so difficult and I had to push through and do my absolute best, you already know, I am living on a prayer on that last one. I'm just doing my best. But again, it's remembering what it means to lock your body in as much as possible to mitigate that risk. It's especially on the ones you're tired with, like on that last overhead squat or that last snatch. It's not so much that I could just turn the brain off and just yell and do whatever I wanted. I had to sit there and remind myself of what I was doing, you know, what the purpose of that lift was in that moment, what I had to really keep in check to then move on to as much energy as I could put into it, you know? It's got to be logically compressed. You know, you have to have everything set up exactly where it needs to be, and then you can have that enjoyment, that passion, that putting your everything into it and not having to think about it. But you've got to be ready for that. You can't just do it. It's not something that your body just gives you. You adhere to your body's needs, and then it allows you to have that fun, to embrace that passion when you do the lift. So I'm very happy with how the snatch pulls went. I got to 375 for doubles. First one was definitely pretty tired. My core and my low back in general was just so beat up, but maintaining as much compression in my low back and core as I could before just ripping it off the ground and not thinking about it helped a lot. That last set definitely felt the best. And it's also knowing that you don't have to rush through it. You can just take your time for a second and just do what you can. You know, even though I'm trying to do as high a pull as I can, doesn't mean I have to rip it as hard as I can off the ground or whip it up as high as physically, humanly possible. You know, just as high as I'm able to do in that moment without ripping my low back in part. That's what I mean. So, above all else, physically, it was hard. This is one of the hardest workouts I've had in a minute, energy-wise. I had to really give it my all. But I'm hitting new weights still, man. I'm still growing. I'm still peaked. I'm not as high as I could have been, sure, but nobody ever is. You know, you got to accept the limitations and the setbacks that your body gives you so that you can grow past them. So I'm going to give it at least a 9.35. Very good. It was a great workout. And again, the fact that I missed most of my snatches behind my head is a great thing. It means I was just whipping it too hard and I had too much strength for what I had to do. It's hard to stay in that middle ground where you're whipping just hard enough but not too hard to where you could perfectly lock out your elbows and not have the imbalance and let the bar fly behind your head, that kind of stuff. But anyway, mentally, oh man, I've been really good lately, honestly. I'll give it a 9.6. I feel really good. You know, it's hard, you know, going through the everydays with life sometimes. It's hard to keep yourself motivated to keep doing the same stuff over and over just for that little tiny ounce of progression that you might not even be able to see. But that's what it means to train your mind to accept what passions you have and the highest limit and potential of those passions, you know? Whether it's my work at the hospital or at the gym or my relationship with my girlfriend or just my relationship with my homies in general. You know, it's just being happy for why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do, but what I want to do and what I want to hope to work toward. You know, these things that I do every day aren't just a monotonous thing that I do to just waste time. They're what my mind and body needs to maintain that appreciation for my life in general. Because if I was just sitting there staring at the walls every day, there would be no appreciation, and I would not enjoy what I'm doing, and I wouldn't care. I think that's the biggest thing about it. It's giving yourself a reason to care, you know? So I think a lot of people especially don't give themselves nearly as much credit as they deserved. I always try my best to give myself what I can, but there's obviously days where I'm definitely beating myself up more than I need to. And I had a good conversation with my girlfriend last night where she was kind of feeling that way, where it's been tough. She feels pressure to go back to college, feels like she has to, and it's hard. And she's got to work. She doesn't have any backup plan. She doesn't have family to support her like that. So it's hard to make that jump. But I told her, I was like, listen, man, if you're not going to make that jump, then first of all, why worry about it? And second of all, why even, what are we doing? Like, jump toward your passions, man. Leap toward them. Do your best to at least try. Because no matter what, even if she doesn't go to college, and even if she doesn't get the degree that she thought she would, or the job she thought she would, just like me, I never thought I'd be working a psych unit or doing Olympic lifting. But I just tried my best with everything I threw myself into, and I made progress every step of the way, and it evolved to a point of where we are right now. And it's going to continue to change. I might be a pro bodybuilder one day. I might go back to powerlifting. I might only deadlift, even though I hate deadlifting on its own. You never know the person you're supposed to be or meant to become. You just enjoy the person that you've embraced today, and allow yourself to be content and happy and passionate with the efforts that you've been able to put in right now. Because the future and the past are not going to sit there and hold your hand. The future does not exist, and the past happened, but it's gone. It's a positive perspective at most now. So it's time to move forward and just do your best with whatever you've got in this present moment. I don't care if you feel like you don't have anything going for you. Get outside and try something new. Because the more things you try and the more things you attempt to do in the long run, you'll make it there. I promise. You will have such a larger potential than you've ever possibly imagined. But I gotta go. I got work in 15 minutes, so I appreciate you guys hanging out, listening to me ramble on. I love shooting the show with you guys, but I'm just out here doing my best. Really appreciate what y'all are doing, because you guys give me some great support, and it's been so awesome just being able to see the growth between this community and myself and just what I've worked towards. So I appreciate it. That's all I'm saying. Let me know how your lives and books have been going. I love hearing how you guys have been doing. And just do your best. Embrace yourself. Just whoever you are today, be happy with it at the minimum. And keep coming back. Do your thing. Whatever. I'll be back tomorrow. We got power clean and jerk and back squat, and we'll see how it goes. I love you guys. See you later. Bye.